Hi everyone. I'm I'm already introduced, so I'll just go ahead. So basically, I'm not a tech person. I'm more of a growth person. So sorry for all the devs here and stuff. But in terms of Web3 adoption, we still haven't made much progress, if any, in the last 5 years or so. This is all despite the fact that there has been general crypto adoption, even without Web3 adoption. There's relatively, and by that I mean a huge gap in regulatory oversight for fintech counterparts versus Web3. So we could have actually made moves before regulation comes. Unlike other industries, verticals, or whatever, crypto already has immediate global access. We can already reach the entire world. For example, if you're building a fintech company in Southeast Asia, you can't even expand to the next neighboring country without a lot of bureaucratic red tape. And yet, we haven't been able to reach that. We've also gotten significant mainstream media attention, often making headlines. We've had incremental scaling and improvements for UX in many years, but so far, there's not been much, and not a lot of projects are actually doing much to figure out adoption. Then there's the price trap. Just by the fact that projects are launching tokens early, similar to IPOs and such, they start to have an hyper-focus on the token price. Even if you launch a good project, even if you have a good business model, the token price trumps everything. Ethereum is, of course, not immune to such disconnects in the market, and that is reflected by the fact that Ethereum's token price has not been performing very well lately. It's led to a lot of criticism, despite the fact that 52% of the stablecoin market share, compared to Solana's 5%, 6 times the TVL of Solana, 2.8 times the market cap of Solana, being the most decentralized ecosystem, and having a lot of institutional adoption in the form of ETFs and other partnerships. Despite this, everyone says that ETH has a problem, and that is the ETH price. If the ETH price was up right now, we wouldn't be hearing very much criticism, but since it isn't, we'll go into why. So Solana's advantage is reflected by the fact that they've had a lot better price performance, and not only that, but a lot better revenue, a lot better volume and adoption. In terms of comparison, Solana is monolithic. Ethereum has leaned a lot into the roll-up-centric roadmap. Even though Ethereum's scaling solution has leaned into this roll-up-centric roadmap, it still, combined with all the other L2s, has not been able to come close to Solana's throughput. That was okay before, during the bull market, or at least the last real bull market, when users didn't mind paying very high transaction fees, they didn't mind very slow transactions and wait times, because the gains they were getting on Ethereum from investing in NFTs or other tokens and such made it worth it. But now that's no longer the case, and now users are very elastic to UX, to low fees, fast transactions, and low latency. So this was highlighted by the fact that last year, Solana flipped Ethereum in terms of volume and revenue, and ever since, it's continued to be on top in terms of revenue and volume. This is despite the fact that the Libra scandal and all those other politician coins actually led to a lot of public opinion against Solana. So still, we can agree that better UX does matter for adoption. Also, developers have started to shift to Solana ecosystem. People I've been trying to get into my ecosystem have told me they're feeling FOMO about Solana. Ethereum projects are launching tokens on Solana, and many other aspects that we could go into further. Of course, the layer 2s are to blame because layer 2s were supposed to help Ethereum get adoption. They were supposed to increase scalability, improve UX, and go for that adoption. The adoption, which I mentioned in the beginning, isn't actually an intention of many ecosystems today because of the price trap. In the next battle, we have a shift in terms of what our strategies are for the rollups as well as Ethereum itself. We have Solana integrating Fire Dancer, and we have a gigagas Ethereum, and this is the new race for adoption, for scalability. Fire Dancer will give Solana about not much of an advantage, arguably, and gigagas Ethereum will reach about 10,000 TPS in the next 5 to 10 years. So despite the fact that Ethereum is getting very bullish in terms of scaling the L1, it's still going to take a lot of time, and it's still going to take a while before it can reach the same throughput capacity. But what if Ethereum could reach that today? What if it could beat not only Solana, but all the other alt L1s? And that leads me to the next point, the rise of the fast chains. I think we're all very tired of hearing L2s claim to be the fastest, about hearing people claim TPS capacity in 100,000 or so, a million now. We're getting very desensitized to this, but at the same time, new layer 2s, new alt layer 1s are actually starting to reach these points. We're actually enabling Ethereum and its greater ecosystem, EVM and such, to finally be able to host that mass adoption that we all say we want. And interestingly, out of all these high performance, all L1s, L2s, Solana and such, the two fastest L2s, or the two fastest chains in terms of high performance, are actually built on Ethereum. Rise and Mega ETH. In terms of how these compare, Rise is the one I'm launching, or launched in terms of testnet so far. Rise is actually better in my opinion, but Mega ETH is also really cool. I do have friends there. If I compare them, I would say the biggest difference is our approach to decentralization, to maintaining that pathway, versus Mega ETH. And the two things I want to highlight there are the fact that we were able to achieve real-time ultra-low latency with 32 gigabyte standard hardware. We're also implementing base sequencing. My CEO and co-founder, Sam Batnali, is actually a pretty significant contributor to the base sequencing space. And also notably, Rise has achieved 5 millisecond latency, which is the fastest known latency yet. And that's based on close proximity testing, which is relevant to power users especially. But it also implies that Rise will also offer the fastest latency no matter where a user is around the world. So since I'm a co-founder of Rise and not Mega ETH, I'm going to go into Rise more. So Rise offers infinite speed, and by infinite I mean it can't get censored. We're decentralized. So what's the point of having such high speeds of building an entire ecosystem and getting adoption if you can be censored anytime? So in terms of our tech stack, we are doing something called a continuous block pipeline. This is the overlapping processing that I mentioned. We have something called shreds, which is similar to mini blocks. It's similar to flash blocks and also Solana shreds, but it's unique. And those two are live now on testnet, and those are already resulting in the impressive performance we've been seeing so far. In the roadmap, we also have the rest of these that we will be implementing. Parallel EVM too. Rise has been working on the fastest parallel execution engine in the market, and that's expected to double our performance. Then we have a few other cool things in the pipeline. If you guys want to know more, I can put you in touch with our CTO or Sam, our CEO, because they're both devs. And to go into shreds, which is what we think is the most game-changing part of our stack that makes us the fastest chain in the world, with our 5 millisecond ultra low latency. The problem with ETH layer 2 transactions right now is they're very slow and they're also insecure. Right now we can expect 1 to 2 second transaction confirmations, and that limits what we can build on chain. Rise shreds are variable. They're less than 1 millisecond partitions of an L2 block that allow for early pre-confirmations by deferring very resource-intensive Merkleization to when the L2 block is finished. This is very similar to what I mentioned before. This enables a user experience which is like the modern web, and it's all done in a secure way. What this enables is very ultra-low latency are a lot of applications that were never possible on-chain, such as central limit order books, central limit order book strategies, options, basically DeFi 3.0, as well as other cool, like more fun use cases like gaming and such. Also, with the rise of AI agents, which was covered in the previous presentation, there's a lot more that you could do since the supply of AI agents is not limited. So this is a diagram of how the shreds work. I already explained them, so I'm not going to go into it. In terms of how we make our shreds secure, each shred contains a signed commitment from an L2 base sequencer, delegating rights from the L1 proposer to issue pre-confirmations. The secured commitment means if the user's transaction is not included as promised, the user will have recourse and may slash the L1 proposer to recover potential economic loss. This is a level of security not yet experienced by layer 2s today. Now, just to highlight, Rise is based. We, again, are significant contributors to the base sequencing space, and we plan to implement high-performance compatible base sequencing within 2025. For base sequencing, transaction ordering and execution is delegated to Ethereum Layer 1's validator set, and this actually eliminates the need for a centralized sequencer. It also differentiates us a lot from another very fast chain, and it allows us to leverage both censorship resistance, liveness of Ethereum, as well as synchronous composability between Ethereum as well as other base layer 2s. This synchronous composability is also especially cool because Ethereum itself plans to scale the L1. And of course, Ethereum is the biggest ecosystem so far in terms of liquidity, TVL, and much more. This is my last slide. I just want to say that Ethereum has been on the right track in terms of its rollup-centric roadmap. It has set the foundation for Ethereum to be able to handle mass adoption. That, together with Rise, the fastest layer 2 to date, I don't know if something's going to come out faster than 5 milliseconds, creates Ethereum's new roadmap, which is unified L2s around a strong layer 1. And just to highlight that is Justin Drake's tweet. Thank you very much.